Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to show you how to set up a sick room, also known as a convalescent room or an isolation room, and how to do this on a budget using items from the Dollar Tree. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that you're probably going to notice about the room is that it's a little bit dark in here. I've had to use some lighting and do some other things. But essentially, there's a few key points that we have to remember whenever we're trying to foster an environment of healing for people. The first is cleanliness, and the second is to decrease the sensory input, right? So decrease the things that are overwhelming their senses. Overhead lighting is one of the single worst things for people, especially when you're talking about fluorescent light bulbs and things that really disrupt people's circadian rhythm, right? Their internal sleep clock. Because when you disrupt someone's internal sleep clock, you're also disrupting that whole rest, digest, repair clock as well. So it's important for us that we decrease the sensory input on people. So for that reason, I like to have lighting on the side and not overhead lighting in my room. Also, I really don't like a lot of clutter. Now you're going to see a lot of items here that I've tried to use for positioning to show you what you can purchase and how you use them, right? So you'll notice actually that this bed is kind of folded back, and I'm going to show you how I do different things with the bed and what it is. You'll see puppy pads here, which you can purchase at the Dollar Tree. You're also going to see a draw sheet, which is used for helping to lift people up in bed. Now, a key note here. Whenever you're helping somebody, like trying to help somebody sit up in bed, it's really important that that bed is at waist level. And that's the one thing I don't like about this particular setup. This is a great mattress, and the mattress itself is like 120 bucks on Amazon, and the bed frame itself was like 100. So you're talking about $250 all said and done for a really nice little twin setup here. Sheets are also really important. And when we talk about the critical components of setting up a room so that someone can be isolated and recovering but still be in good health, we have got to change their linens every day, and even more often if they're sweating, like for instance if they're running a fever. So daily bathing is a must. Daily linen changes, that is also a must. Daily clothing changes, yes, including you, Marine Corps and Army. You have to change your underwear every day. Turning them inside out does not count. They need to be laundered and washed. All right. Why is it that I have to say that to them? I don't know. But anyway, we have to insist on a standard of hygiene and cleanliness. And before we actually get too far into getting started here, I want to encourage you that even if you don't have a space that looks like this, if you find yourself in a time where you have to hurriedly put something together, try and remember these two goals: cleanliness and decrease the stimuli. So cleanliness and decrease the stimuli. You're trying to think about it this way: the womb. Right? You're trying to recreate an environment that is calm and that is quiet and that is a shelter from the outside world to get people to heal. So without further ado, I want to show you the bed and kind of take you through some of the things that I have here, and let's get started. Okay, so let us discuss the way that this bed is set up. Let me move my notes so that way that's out of the way. How fun. Okay, so this is a draw sheet. All right. Now, a draw sheet, essentially, you can take the bed, the standard flat sheet for the bed that you're using, and then fold it in half. So this draw sheet comes from about abdomen level. This one's a little bit high in the bed. And then like down here, basically this is where the bulk of a patient's body weight is distributed. And what a draw sheet allows you to do is you and a partner, if this bed was waist level, as we've established, you only move people at waist level, it allows for you to lift up this draw sheet together with somebody concertedly and help scoot patients up in bed or get them repositioned. Puppy pads are helpful for people who are having accidents, who are basically incontinent or having issues with it, and those are actually really cheap at the Dollar Tree. These are the ones you want to get. The extra large training pads right here, there are 3 of them. You probably could get them cheaper, but the extra large are going to be big enough for an average adult. The other ones are going to be probably too small. So the bed is set up with a couple pillows, and you've got your puppy pad and then the draw sheet. And this is pretty simple, okay? Now, one of the things that you'd like to do if you had the option is to have an extra change of bed linens in a bedside table. And by the way, this is pretty cheap. These are like the $30 Sterilite things from Wally World from way back in the day. And they actually make pretty good bedside tables. Not super quality, but enough to get the job done. So you've got your bed set up here. The other thing that you're going to want to have for a sick room, if you have like a robe or something for the person you're caring for that allows them to be modest or to cover themselves and to keep their bodies warm when they get up, that's a good move. This is from the Dollar Tree right here. This is a dish pan, and I talked about this in one of my previous videos, which I'll try and link to in a card up here. But this dish pan right here is great if you're trying to corral your stuff together to give patients bed baths, right? Or to help anybody who just needs a wipe down. But what you do is you would, can you tell I love to store stuff? What you do is you'd fill it up with your soap and water here, take your clean towels like this, and then throw them in there, right? And then you would wipe your patient down, and then you're going to discard them in a different area. But that's the bed bath dish pan method right there, and a very valuable thing to have. Now, some things that I got from the Dollar Tree. Let's start here. For those of you who've had my online course, which I'll link to in the description box below, the Foundations of Medical Prep, you know, we go over the importance of vital signs and what they mean, how to take them. So this is helpful because you, as the helper in the situation, you've got your stuff right here. You got your little tote. This is from the Dollar Tree. And you can store your stethoscope, pulse oximeters, which measure not only heart rate, but a person's oxygen saturation. And I'll put a link to this in the description box below. And I really like these guys because they also show you a little bit of the waveform too. And gloves, always helpful. We like gloves. Standard precautions are cool. And then this was from the Dollar Tree also. This little guy right here. The 3-in-1 cotton set ensemble. Just a little quickie thing for cleaning those nooks and crannies. And besides, it wouldn't fit over here in my little bed bath pan. For those of you who want to know, this is the Littman Classic 2 stethoscope that I have. And I'll put a link to that in the description box below, as well as the ADC sphygmomanometer, also known as a blood pressure cuff. Now, here's actually a really good point. We've got the good stethoscope, Mac Daddy nursing stethoscope, and then we've got the little cheapy stethoscope right here. If you have a person, for instance, who you suspect is carrying an infectious disease, it's a good idea to just leave this thing in the room with their own dedicated stethoscope and their own dedicated blood pressure cuff. Anything that they're going to be using, if possible, needs to stay in the room if you're worried about that. So this is the great one to have, but a little cheapy, disposable type-ish one that runs you about $10 is also a good thing to have as well. I want to talk about useful things to have here. I spoke about this in one of my recent videos, but this guy you can get at the Dollar Tree, and it's the little shot glasses. What do they call them? Yeah, shot cups. These are great for putting a person's pills in, like when you're giving them their pills. This is nice because that way it cuts out a lot of the hand-to-hand transmission, like you touch the pills and then you put them in their hand and they touch their hand to their mouth, and then, yeah, it just gets pretty gross pretty fast. Another thing, straws. Don't you remember when these things were gonna kill the planet like 6 months ago, and now everybody's like, oh, they're useful in prevention of disease transmission. Yeah, you think? So straws are helpful also for getting people to drink when they're not feeling so well. And we talked about disposable cups. Again, this is important for reducing the risk of transmission of disease. You'll notice that I also have here a trash or a waste bin, trash basket waste bin. And I have this close to the bed, but also there's a chair here, okay? And this chair is useful in a convalescent room, a sick room. Well, it has to be there, period. Because if you're going to be taking care of the person, you need to be able to sit down yourself, look at them, see how they're doing. If you need to assist them, help them with the water, put the water to their mouth, whatever, then kind of sit back and, whew, okay, what else can I do for you? Okay, good. Then, like for instance, if you need to do a dressing change, all right, you as the care provider are going to scooch in close to the person. If you need to do your dressing change, you can do that down here. And then within one arm's reach, you've got your waste bin, okay? Useful and practical things. Now, I actually I want to talk about these 3 items right here. I worked with a CNA way back in the day, actually, when I was a nurse extern, which is between your 3rd and 4th year. She taught me something really valuable. This is cornstarch, not talcum powder, which is not good for you to breathe. But the cornstarch, this is from the Dollar Tree, that has a little fragrance. You don't have to get the fragrance. I'm just giving you some ideas. She would take this, and what she would do is when she was changing bed linens, she would put it in between the pillow and the new pillowcase. So that way it would smell nice for people. And I just kind of thought that was good. Also, we have the good air freshener that isn't toxic as all get out, so that you're not breathing Lord knows what chemicals. But this is just a nice air freshener because in some cases, for instance, when you're dealing with people who are sick in the winter, it's not really practical to open up the windows. But if you can, ventilation's a plus. If not, it's good to have something that doesn't smell bad, because people who are sick stink. Why do they stink? Because a lot of times they're running fevers or they're sweating. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important to daily change your bed linens, okay? The daily changing of bed linens is a must, or whenever they're soiled. And so for that reason, it's useful. I just put down one here because I didn't want to bust open a whole new pack. But if you're going to put down one puppy pad or Chuck's pads or whatever the names that you use are, it's good to put down two. So 2 is one is none. Because if for whatever reason you got someone who has an accident, you, with the assistance of somebody else, can roll them to the side. You can roll this guy up and then pull it out. And then you've got a fresh new one under there if you've stacked them too, like sandwiched them. So I also used this setup when I was doing labor and delivery, actually, for my mom's. Definitely want to layer the puppy pads down there. So you'll notice that I've taken actually great pains with this. I'm quite proud of myself. My convalescent room. There's balance in this room. Sorry about the clutter. There's balance in this room. Balance is important, not just from an interior design standpoint, but it's very important from a psychological well-being standpoint. Florence Nightingale spoke about this, and I actually have a friend and a former co-worker of mine to thank for bringing this to my attention. Florence Nightingale was really big on cleanliness and making sure that a person's area, their space, was free from dirt, free from filth, free from garbage. Yep, there are flowers there. And if somebody's allergic, obviously don't, but I really like to. It makes people cheerful. And by the way, this is a really cool alarm clock. Instead of going meh, meh, it wakes you up with a light. So it's like a gradual sun glowy thing. So I'll put a link to that too down in the description box. It's been pretty sweet. I like it a lot. But a practical note here, when you're trying to facilitate an area, a convalescent area, you want to try and make sure, this is touching the floor, but it shouldn't be. You really want to try and make sure that your linens are staying off the floor. The only reason this is touching the floor is because I got this thing scooted down. But you want to keep the linens off the floor because that's unsanitary. So do as I say, not as I do, children, in this one. But I just wanted to show you guys a practical setup here for a sick room, a convalescent room. This used to be a lot more common than what it is now. So to recap here on the features of a good convalescent room, a good sick room, what you want is a good bed. Ideally, if you can, a bed that's going to reach to waist height. This one was cheap, and so I had to, kind of take things into account. You definitely need a chair for the care provider to stay in. Definitely need a waste basket. You want to make sure that you've got, if you have incontinence issues or any issues like that, you want to make sure that you've got some puppy pads, which again, you can get at the Dollar Tree. You also need a little caddy for your assessment tools. So that way you can keep track of their vital signs and all that other stuff. You want to change of clothes for the person, or at least a robe that they can put on whenever they go to the bathroom. You want a way, if they need a bed bath, if they can't bathe themselves, you need a way to wash them, to keep them bathed every day. Their linens need to be changed every day. And especially when it comes to a person who's running a fever, they must stay hydrated. And practical ways we can do this are the disposable cup and certainly a straw, because straws make things a lot easier for people. And we also talked about using the little shot glass cups so that you can have a more hygienic way of passing meds to people and not have to worry about disease getting transmitted. So friends, I hope you found that helpful in the video. And again, A lot of these items can be found at the Dollar Tree, so I'm hopeful that your local Dollar Tree will have something like this. And I'll put links to everything that I mentioned in the description box below that I can find links for. I would love to see you in an in-person training event class for sure. If you can't make it to one of those, I also teach the online classes, obviously. And you can find those, the online classes, at ThePatriotNurseAcademy.com. And again, I'll put links down there in the description box below. About 4 hours worth of coursework, $129. You get the download workbook to work through things, and also there are several handouts that are included in there, just flow sheets, things like vital sign flow sheets, etc., to kind of help keep you organized in times where you may be the person caring for someone and you didn't plan on it. So that was really the goal of my class, to be able to offer people an online alternative if they can't make it to an in-person event. So I hope that you found this video helpful today. If you did enjoy the video, I hope you'll subscribe to me here on YouTube, Patriot Nurse. You can also support me on Patreon, Subscribestar, Cryptocurrency, and PayPal. I got links down there in the description box below. Y'all stay safe this weekend. Try and take care of yourself, especially on the road. People are driving real crazy nowadays. But definitely take care of your family members. Let's love on each other, and let's remember to keep each other supported with love and encouragement. May the Lord bless y'all and keep you. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off. I'll see y'all later. Bye.